Hi guys, I'm Nate Spencer from Daily Driver Media, and this week I'm going to be talking about some cars that you might want to look at if you're on a strict budget but wanted to do rallycross events. So when buying a rallycross car, there's really three different segments that you're going to want to look at: front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and all-wheel drive. Now, front-wheel drive is generally faster, but it's not as fun in my opinion because you don't go as sideways. Rear-wheel drive's a little more fun, but it's not as fast, but you do get to go sideways. And then all-wheel drive is a little combination of both, where it's going to have that fast nature, and it's going to be the quickest. And then you're also going to be able to go sideways as well. Now, with all-wheel drive vehicles, they're usually more expensive than their front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive counterparts. But there are actually some cheap all-wheel drive options out there as well. So first, let's dive into the front-wheel drive cars. The first front-wheel drive car that came to mind and that you'll see a lot of are Ford Focuses. As you know, the Ford Fiestas are in a lot of professional rallies, but they're not old enough to be really cheap yet to use. You can get a used Focus from the early 2000s from $1 grand to $1,500, no problem. And they're great cars to race. And I have another front-wheel drive car, and this one I thought of on my own. You guys can let me know whether it actually be a good one. Would be a Pontiac Sunfire. And a car that's going to be really good for rallycross is going to be something that's really light and nimble. And Pontiac Sunfire's pretty light vehicle, very nimble. Small. I mean, you might have some, it might be a little low for some courses, but for the most part it should do okay. And you can get one of those for $800, still running. So definitely a very cheap car to get started and throw some nice tires on it, and I mean, you got a competitive rally car right there. Another front-wheel drive car, I had a Volkswagen Golf, the GTI though, because of a very little price difference between a Volkswagen Golf and a GTI. You could get one of those for like $2 grand, $2,500, and those have plenty of power for that kind of race event. So that's another great vehicle to get started on doing rally stuff. But another one, and this one, when I was doing research, I was looking at forums and stuff, and people kept saying the Mazda Protege is a good starter car for people to rallycross in. So I looked up those. I mean, those go around for $1,000 to $2,000 for running condition, and those are fun, quick little cars. So definitely not a bad choice to pick up one of those either. And then I had to put Honda Civic in there just because they're so cheap. So cheap to like fix if you do break it. So you can't really go wrong with a Honda because they'll run forever as well. So those are just a quick list of some front-wheel drive cars that you could use in rallycross. Alright, on the list of rear-wheel drive cars that I have that would be good rallycross cars, and the big obvious one in any racing sport, I mean, Mazda Miata is pretty much the standard of something good to use for racing. With rallycross, they are going to be a little low, so maybe raising it up an inch might be something you'd want to do, because they are pretty low stock. But other than that, they're super light, super nimble. They're great cars to put some nice snow tires on, and they do really well. And another car that a lot of forums were talking about was the Mazda Rx-7. These ones are a little more interesting with the rotary engines aren't as reliable. And to find one that's not destroyed is also nearly impossible. I think half the ones I saw on Craigslist had small block Chevy motor swaps in them anyways. So but to find an RX-7 around $2 to $3 grand is what you're looking at for one of those. But they do look pretty good, and they're pretty light as well, and good handling and that kind of stuff. So that was a decent choice. And actually this weekend there was a guy that brought a BMW E30, and it did pretty well. He had everything stripped on the inside, but the BMW E30 is a great car because it's super light, super easy to fix, nothing too complicated, and you can actually pick one of those up for around $3 grand, still running in decent condition. Those are a little harder to find as well, but those are definitely great cars to learn rear-wheel drive rallycrossing in. Now, this one really goes against what you're looking for a rallycross car in. And I said a Crown Vic Police Interceptor, and here's why. If you're looking for a car that's not going to break, and that you can just beat the crap out of and just go as hard as you can and just have fun, and you're not really looking to win, you're just looking to just have massive slides and just basically be the hoon of the event, you can't really go wrong with the Crown Vic because they're basically indestructible. Yes, they're not manuals, which is kind of annoying, and they don't have really a handbrake. I think it's one of the foot ones. So there's definitely some downsides to the Crown Vic. But I mean, it's a V8, and I mean, they're indestructible, so you can't really go wrong with bringing one of those out and just tossing it around. It's a huge boat, and those are a lot of fun to throw around. And an interesting one that was mentioned in some forums was a Toyota MR2, and I thought this was probably, for rear-wheel drive, this is probably what I would pick if I had to pick a rear-wheel drive car for rallycross, because it's rear-wheel drive, but it's mid-engined, so you're going to get a lot more grip from the rear tires because of the weight in the back. So it's going to be probably one of the quicker rear-wheel drive cars you can get, as long as you get some good tires on there and stuff. And you can usually pick one of those up for, and these are the pre-2000s MR2s that I was looking at, and you could get for $1 grand to $2, not in decent running condition. So those I thought would be pretty nimble and quick as well, and some great, especially with the mid-engine platform, would be great for rallycross. On to all-wheel drive vehicles. Now, this is probably the most preferred vehicle for rallycross, just because it's going to be the fastest car, and on the track you're going to have the most grip, and you're still going to be able to go sideways when you want to. So the big obvious one is going to be the Subarus. I mean, everyone wants the WRXs and the STIs, but I mean, the truth is they're expensive, and the likelihood that they're going to blow up if you do pay like $4 or $5 grand for one is very high. So looking at the basic naturally aspirated Subaru 4-cylinders, whether it's an old Legacy or a old Impreza, those are perfectly good cars. You don't need a lot of power in rallycross to do well. You need light, I would say, is more important, and nimbleness. So maybe an old Impreza, you can get one of those running for $1,000 to $2,000, and hoon around in one of those. So that's I would definitely go if you're definitely on a budget rallycross car. That's a great choice. Another one I would say, pretty good choice. Anything Audi with a Quattro drive system in it. Those are also great cars to race around in. The Quattro system is awesome. The harder part is they finding them for $1,000 to $2 grand is not always. It's possible, but it's harder to get them. Find them running. But if you can find one of those, I mean, those are great cars as well to use. And so now on to, and don't laugh at me when I say this, but a pre-2000s RAV4, or is also a Ford Geo-Tracker. But in Winter Rally I went to, there was a guy with a Toyota RAV4. It was 2-door. I don't remember what year it was, but he had turboed it, but it absolutely destroyed everything. And he was throwing it in all over sideways. I mean, he he was a good rallycross driver, but it was so cool to see because they're so small, and you put any power into the engine, and you already got good enough ground clearance. It's super light. Make sure you obviously get the manual for that car, but I mean, and this one's a little more likely to tip, so I'd be cautioning you with that. But those will fly if you do a little bit of work to them. You can pick one of those up for really cheap. So I think I've seen them for like $700-800 still running. So those are definitely maybe something to look at if you wanted to be different. And another car that's a little different would be like the 90s Mitsubishi Eclipse or the Plymouth Laser or Eagle Talon. But you have to make sure you get the turbo all-wheel drive versions, and those will definitely surprise some people too, just because it's a 190 horsepower engine. I mean, it's plenty of power. It's all-wheel drive. They're pretty light. Obviously, you got to get the manual as well, but those will definitely get some good sets of tires. Those will definitely go around the rallycross track as well, pretty fast. So there's those are some options that I gave you guys. You guys tell me what you thought of those options. But those are my top picks for each class of car, and that I really thought would be good for someone who's looking for a budget rallycross car.